Hello and welcome to our Being an Esports and Games Design student webinar. My name is Marcus and I work for the student recruitment team at Chichester University. And today I'm joined by Amir, who is a games design student.
Hello.
Into research in universities, could you tell me what steps you took before joining university?
Sure. So I think beforehand, when I was in college, I was also studying games design, and I think it was my teacher who first raised Chichester to me. Until then, I was just dead set on just staying in Brighton, where I usually am. But the idea of moving away from home is kind of what nudged me in the direction of Chichester. I looked it up online. I liked the looks of some of the facilities here, but I had to know a bit more. So
Did you
yeah,
come on any open days or anything for us?
I did. Yeah. And I think it was back during COVID, so a lot of the campus was still closed down at the time. But fortunately, I was able to get a tour here. I managed to see inside the tech park, and I was quite happy with the facilities. So that was a big selling point for sure. Just being able to see it in person makes a big difference.
Nice. And how did you feel about going to university?
Um, Initially, I was a bit nervous, a little out of my depth, but it did make a big difference. I think just being able to have an extra year or two to like kind of dive into a lot of different subjects and just being able to realize what I wanted to do, it really helped me out.
Nice. And if you were to have one top tip for any student thinking about university, what would that be?
Um, it's all right to take a year off and just think about what it is you want to do. I wasn't sure what I wanted to specialize in beforehand. Uh, it is pretty cool as well, just being able to experiment and do a lot of different things. You get given a lot of freedom here, so make use of it.
Cool. Perfect. So here at Chichester, we do have some top tips for you students that maybe might not be sure about university or are still trying to decide on which one to go to. The biggest tip that we probably have is to visit the university as much as possible. So throughout the year, universities will run open days that you can attend. They will also have things like taster sessions, campus tours, applicant days, and these are really good opportunities for you to get a feel for the university. It's probably the best way that you'll see what the actual campus is like if it is a campus university, or what the students think of the course, because you'll be able to meet them on the day as well. Another tip that we have is to test run that journey from university to home. This one is especially important if you are a student that want to be going home at Christmas and Easter, and things like that, because you want to make sure that that journey is a feasible one for you to do regularly. Another tip is to visit the local area. If you are a full undergrad student, that is 3 years of your life that you will be at university. So if you want to make sure that you're going to an area where you feel comfortable, feel safe, and there's enough things that sort of cater to your interests for you to do. And then another massive tip that we have is to ask questions. So when you go to these things like open days and applicant days, ask as many questions as possible. This is probably the best way that you'll be able to squash any concerns that you might have before starting university. So in terms of your getting started at university, how did you find that first week?
The first week was definitely a little exciting for sure. I remember initially early on, a lot of stuff is theoretical for our course, which it did surprise me a little bit. Um, but yeah, the majority of your essays and stuff would be in first year, but ultimately it's mostly practical, especially in second and third year. First year was mostly just getting you to ropes with how uni is and socializing and getting to know people. So it's pretty nice.
And how did you find settling into the life as a student?
I think that was a big selling point for me personally. Just being able to live independently and live in student accommodation, uh, it makes a big difference. Um, Sometimes you might be a bit of a lazy person if you don't like taking care of yourself, but there are some good points to it. I can promise you that. I enjoyed it quite a lot, getting to know everyone. They make an extra effort to put you with other people on your course as well, so you won't be completely cut off.
Perfect. And if you were to compare a typical week now to that first sort of few weeks at university, what would your typical week look like right now?
A typical week, I'm expected to usually just get my head down and get on with my work. I think especially as you go on, it becomes a bit less hand-holdy and more independent. You could even say that for the first year, but yeah, nowadays I'm just get given your new semester timetable, and the rest of your free time is down to you for independent study, stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. So if you were to have one sort of main, well, if you did have one sort of main concern before starting university, what was that?
Well, I guess living independently was one because I had never done it before. Also, I didn't know anything about student loans, so I wasn't sure how easy that would be to set up. Um, Fortunately, I was in a good position, so I could just, I was shown how to do it. I think the uni also gives a lot of advice regarding that, and they try their best to get you settled in to uni life. Um, yeah, I got like my tuition fee loan, which was like to cover the lectures, and then the maintenance fee loan was like for rent and food and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, everything else like accommodation and like knowing people that came naturally, so that wasn't too bad at all. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
100%. If there are any people listening that are also worrying about that finance side of things, like Amir said, the university do help out and then give you almost like tutorials on how to set up things like that.
yeah,
As well as that, if you just Googled online about sort of student loans, how they work, you'll be able to get a sort of a grips of it with the information that you can find online. And there'll also be loads of tips as well and that sort of thing on things like student bank accounts. I think if you look on our Instagram, there's a section on there about our finance tips. So, how did you feel about moving away from home? I know you've just mentioned that, but you
yeah.
lived in halls in your first year, yeah?
I did, yeah. Um,
And how did you find like the facilities and the flatmates, that sort of thing?
well, yeah, I was living in Brighton beforehand, so it was nice to just get away for a bit and come out here. Um, I got on pretty well with people in my flat. I lived on the Bognor campus, so I was living in the Longbrook building. Um, yeah, depends on which accommodation that you're going for. Like sometimes there are ensuite facilities and stuff. Personally don't mind either. It's more about like the shared kitchens and like getting to talk to each other and stuff like that. I'd never done any of that before, so that was quite nice and refreshing. And also, I did happen to live right next to the restaurant, so if there were days I didn't feel like cooking, I could just roll out of bed into the restaurant. Also, just roll out of bed straight into lesson as well. So it's a win-win. Uh, yeah, pretty good all round.
Ideal, yeah. And how did you feel about that sort of prospect of having to meet new people, make new friends? Did you know anyone at the university already?
I didn't know. I was yeah, I was wondering about how that would work out. But fortunately, yeah, the uni does put you alongside a lot of people in your course if possible. But even so, a lot of people are pretty easy to get along with. I was convinced I was just going to be like shelled up in my room the whole time, but no, it ended up being pretty easy to make friends. So yeah, it'll be all
Nice.
right.
So in terms of the more academic aspects of the webinar now, what type of assessments do you tend to have in your subject?
Right. So I guess I'll just break it down quickly year by year. First year is mostly theoretical. That's where you have some essays and stuff. It could be anything ranging from technical stuff like learning how like digital images work or whatever, or like some game design like fundamentals. But as you go on, you'll start getting into like game engine stuff like Unity, or you might start like diving into 3D modeling and stuff like that. A lot of fundamentals, and I think the best part about game design, if I had to say, would be like because it's a somewhat multimedia subject, you get a little perspective of each and every subject. So it's great if you're still looking to specialize and make your kind of decision. But you do also get some crossover lectures with other classes, some shared modules. So, for example, you get a lot of shared modules with the audio class or the film people. That's great just to see a little bit of how they work and stuff like that.
Cool. And how do you tend to prepare for your assessments?
Well, I guess it varies depending on the assessment in question, but usually when it comes to the practical stuff, that's the stuff that you want to get done and chip away at day after day in your free time. For a lot of the theoretical ones early on, you can usually get a good amount of help in lesson because you'll obviously have relevant lectures regarding, that certain thing. But yeah, preparing for your assessments, if you're a good worker, there are a lot of resources you can find out there, especially like relevant reading lists and stuff like that, including any of the variety of different research topics into your actual work. That always gets you a extra grade or something like that.
Nice. And I assume your assessments are mainly towards the end of semesters.
Yeah,
How many do you tend to have in a standard semester?
about 4 usually. I don't think there's ever been more than 4.
Okay, cool. Fairly standard then, but I'm pretty sure you are told like your essay questions or whatever in plenty of time so you can prepare for them, get a lot of time in.
Exactly, yeah.
Perfect. So here at Chichester, we are quite big on the support that we can offer to our students. As you can see on the screen there, we've got a long list of the different supports that we offer for our students. I won't highlight all of them, but I'll maybe talk about 1 or 2 of them. So things like academic skills, that might seem a little bit vague, but what that is it's a good opportunity for you to develop yourself academically. And what this might mean is at college and school, you wouldn't have done any referencing or citations, but at university level, that is something that is expected of you in all of your sort of essays or lab reports, that sort of thing. So being able to meet one-on-one with this academic skill advisor is a really good opportunity for you to learn that skill so that your assessments essentially will be easier when you actually have to do it when you come to doing your assessments. Yeah, like I said, I won't go through all of them, but all of the sports that we do offer, you can book them online through the intranet and also through SIS, which is the main reception at uni. So coming towards the end of the webinar, in a few words, what would you say to someone considering studying games design?
If you are in a maybe tech adjacent or creative kind of mindset for any kind of subject, even if it's art or something like that, but you're not quite sure what you want to specialize in, definitely consider games design. It's not just about being good at coding, although that is a big part. You're not necessarily sealed off from any of that. I'm not the best coder out there. All right, I can guarantee you that. I still had an amazing time because it fuses a lot of creative and technical stuff. So there's a lot of freedom and you can get to work with a lot of cool facilities here. I would definitely recommend it if you can.
Perfect, that's great. And in a few words, could you just sum up your time at uni so far?
Um, I don't want to be cliche or anything or say life-changing, but it's been a very valuable experience. I've definitely had the time to mature somewhat. Obviously, I'm still a little immature or whatever, but it's just been a great time to, learn a lot of different things and have fun.
Amazing. So that is the end of our webinar today. Thank you to Amir for agreeing to take part. Thank you to anyone that is watching, and I hope you found the information useful. If after watching this you do still have some questions that you need answering, feel free to reach out and email one of the emails on the screen there.